Hey everyone, it's Dr. RAMANI. How many of you have felt really indecisive because of your narcissistic relationship? Drop it in the comments and let's take this issue on. So many people feel like, oh my gosh, I can't even make a decision anymore. And then that leads to the self-blame, right? But did you have this, or do you have this experience that you still find it hard to make decisions? Maybe you feel stuck or frozen. You keep going back and forth and back and forth, or ruminating or second guessing. I don't know what to do, right? That kind of thing. Folks who grew up with narcissistic parents have often found that they have always struggled a little bit with decision making since an early age. Not sure what to wear, or what activity to do, or what flavor popsicle to get. You might wonder, why is that? Well, the stealing of individuation and identity that is the narcissistic relationship contributes to that. The child doesn't exist separately from the parents. They exist for the narcissistic parents. The child's meant to be supply for the parents, and a separate reality is not permitted. What that does is that it percolates a sense of self-doubt in the child. There was never the opportunity for the child to feel that they get to be themselves. So that means knowing preferences or feeling confident or definitive in a choice is really, really hard. As the child gets older, it may show up in difficulties in making choices around choosing peers, classes in school, where to go to school, what to do when they graduate, what major, what job. It just feels harder. And the chronic second guessing can not only be exhausting, then there can be a wave of regret once a decision is made, with the person saying, I think I chose the wrong one. But this is not limited to just people who grew up with narcissistic parents. We observe it in people who have had narcissistic partners, especially when it has been a long-term relationship. You hear it enough times, right? You sure about that? I don't know. It doesn't seem like you know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You didn't remember that, right? That didn't happen. That happens enough. You doubt yourself at a deep, deep level. Then there is the other issue that, let's say, in a given choice, or in a given situation, you make the wrong choice in a situation. We're all going to do it sometimes. You chose the wrong road to drive down, or the wrong hotel, or the wrong refrigerator, or the wrong college. And yeah, it doesn't go well. Well, let me tell you that narcissistic person will be there for the rest of your life with bells on to remind you repeatedly and rub your nose in it for eternity at how you made a mistake, and I told you so, and what were you thinking? And this can go on for years. So when you throw all of that together, the loss of confidence in your abilities, the loss of identity, the self-doubt, the confusion, the anxiety, the fear of regret, and then the fear that if you do make the wrong decision, that you will be blamed forever, then it becomes pretty clear how and why you would just freeze up like that and it's hard to make a decision, right? The issue then becomes that folks who come through the other side of narcissistic relationships will often have a self-conception of themselves as indecisive or terrible at making decisions or wishy-washy. I'm not sure that it's true. That's actually true of you, right? As you come out of a narcissistic relationship, or even if you don't get out of the relationship, you're still in the narcissistic relationship, but now that you recognize what their personality is about and you do the work of radical acceptance, you then may slowly see that they were peddling a false narrative all along, and you slowly give more and more space and possibility to your sense of self. If you do get out of a significant narcissistic relationship and find that once you are out of the control of that relationship and you are making more independent decisions, that it can feel almost dizzying to be in that situation and have the freedom to make these decisions, but not always in a good way. You may feel ill-equipped to make decisions, still find yourself going back and forth, doubting and second guessing yourself, and still hear their voice inside your head. So when it comes to kind of feeling more on track with decisions, start small. Start by making decisions where there's no audience that will be affected by your decision. Like, what grocery store should I go to? Should I get the generic or the name brand? Should I make myself pasta or a sandwich? Small decisions that are just for you. Low stakes, where you don't worry about the judgment of others. Pay attention to your intuition and instincts. What feels righter? As you start doing that more and more, and you may have to, if you are now living alone or apart from the control of the narcissistic person, then go bigger. Maybe you pick the restaurant for the group. When people face the prospect of making their own decisions after getting out of a narcissistic relationship, it can feel like a lot. If you have been told that you aren't capable of something for so long, it requires sheer will to get to a place where you believe that you can. But you aren't alone if you left that narcissistic relationship feeling like you suck at making decisions. You don't. But when there's enough self-doubt and gaslighting in your life, when your identity can't develop, making a decision can feel like an impossible and high-stakes game. When I was thinking about this video, I was very struck. I was thinking about how did this play out in my life since I was young. I remember, and it was interesting because if you really sat down and did this exercise, there's things you know about yourself, and yet you still make a different decision. It doesn't sound like a ridiculous example, and I think I've even talked about this on this YouTube channel before, but I've forgotten, so probably you have too. We had the chance to pick out instruments we could play in the school band. I really wanted to play the flute. There was something that felt very delicate about it, and they got to hold their hands out like this and flute, flute, flute. It was in this nice little case. But a girl, and she was a nice girl, but it's just how I grew up that made this hard for me. There was a girl, and I had no sense of self, no sense of identity. And another girl who had a very strong sense of self and I really wanted to be friends with decided to play the clarinet. And would you know, what did she choose? The damn clarinet. I don't even like the clarinet. I still don't like the clarinet. In fact, to these days, I see a clarinet, kind of feel it in my body. But flutes kind of get a little bit envious. Freud would have a field day with that, by the way. And I remember thinking, like, I don't want to do this. Now, did that again. Same thing, same girl. There were different classes we could take after school. One of the choices was like drama, and the other one was cooking. Well, needless to say, I wanted to do cooking. Mama loves some food here, right? Well, that gal wanted to do theater, so guess who does theater? I didn't want to be on the stage, so then I did theater instead of cooking. So I could have been a flute-playing chef right now had I known myself. Did it end there? Oh, hell no. Even down to my decisions about graduate school. I screwed up the first time and didn't choose what was right for me, lost a year, and then had to move across the country to the blessing that was UCLA to come and get my PhD. That was the right place for me. I knew that all along. As I put this video together, I actually stopped and I'm like, I need to make a note of this. The number of times in my life in here, I knew the choice wasn't right. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm so indecisive, y'all, that as I think about my to-do list for the day, I have to coin flip to figure out should I do task A or task B. So let me tell you, this sticks around for a long time. And if anyone asks me if I'm decisive, I'd say no, but do you have a penny? And maybe I will be. So this gal who should be able to cook and play the flute and probably should have spent one less year in New York and many other things, I guess I learned from it. This journey got me to where I am. Still can't stand the clarinet. But we definitely, this can go with us forever. And so I keep a penny in my pocket all the time to help me with those choices. And I regret how many times my indecisiveness got me into trouble. But slowly but surely we can pull out of it. I slowly have. You can too. But keep a penny in your pocket. Thanks again.